So in a previous video, we have set up a leaflet.js map in our AppStudio app and successfully got it working like so. Unfortunately, though, we have a slight bug. We can see here, you can actually see as we zoom in and zoom out, we're kind of meant to have a top menu at the top of our app. So if I refresh and go back to the home page, we're meant to have this top navigation bar persistent throughout our app. But if we go to map, it does appear there when you first go to the form, but when you hit zoom out, then it goes to 100%. So let's fix this issue. So in our map form, we have a map container, and we just need to tweak the properties here to fix the issue. So we've set the height as 100%, which is actually what's causing the problem. And to fix this, we would normally go through some experimentation with different settings to see what behaves stably. So I'm going to set height to auto, but then bottom to 0. And what this will do, this will pull the bottom of the map to the bottom of the screen, and hopefully that will then fill the whole screen. But because we've got the top set to 56 from before, that should leave our gap at the top for the navigation. So let's run that and see how that behaves. So make sure I've got fully refreshed. Click on map, and there we go. Okay, so that's behaving a bit better now. So we've got a header is persistent. We can do zoom, we can drag, and that's all fine. Okay. Another usability issue, when we try and use our hamburger menu and navigation, you can see the drop down is actually hidden below the map. So obviously that's a problem. So let's look at how we'd resolve this. So if we looked at inspect element, we could just troubleshoot this in the browser. So the problem is as we can see there, the hamburger one contents is what's appearing hidden. So we could just test something. So if we click on that and we've got the styles in our developer tools here, we could add something called Z-index and set that to 100 as a larger Z-index. That seems to not work still. So if we set it to 999, it's still not working. Okay, so let's see one last try with a larger value, and that doesn't seem to be working. So let's try another approach. Just to explain what Z-index is effectively the order of items that appear on a web page. It's a CSS property, so we can set the Z-index of different elements, and depending on the number, the higher the number, the more near the front it should appear. So let's have a look at a different way of troubleshooting this. Let's see if we can move the map container back a little bit. So let's try Z-index. Well, let's just try first. You can put negative numbers, and you'll notice if I put -1, that actually puts it even behind the background, behind the body, so it actually makes it disappear. We set it as 0 though. Let's see what that does. And there we go. So that has fixed the issue for us. We need to set the Z-index to 0 for the map container, and that seems to allow our drop-down menu to work. So this was just experimenting in the browser. Let's now go back into AppStudio to make the change persistent. So it was a map container, and we can add that styling rule to the style property. So Z-index 0, we'll go OK. Let's hit start and just make sure it's refreshed. And let's go to the map, just check that's all working OK. And there we go, we've got our navigation working fine there. So just a couple of examples of styling issues. Oh, and then we've got an issue when another bug that we can troubleshoot. So it seems to when we go to home and when we go back to map, we get an error there. So that's something to do with the JavaScript code. We can see we've got some issues coming up in the console. So that'll be the next issue that we'll troubleshoot. So the problem here is, as the error shows, that the map container is already initialized. So essentially this code is running each time the map form shows. And the problem really lies here in that we're setting up the map, trying to set it up again when we don't need to, and then that's throwing a JavaScript error here. So what we're going to do is make sure it's only initialized once. So to do this, we're just going to add an if statement, which I'll copy and paste it in here. And I'll just close if statement. So this if statement here, it's essentially checking whether this variable here, map NSB, whether it's undefined or not. If it is undefined, so if it hasn't been set, then we will run this code. Of course, once this code has been run once, then if we trigger this code again, this if statement will render as false because map NSB will be defined. It will already have been set, so it won't trigger again, and that should stop us getting this this already initialized error. So let's save this and run it, and we will just make sure the app is fully refreshed. Again, Control-Shift-R on Windows is a good way to do a full refresh of the app, just in case you're getting strange behavior. Let's go onto the map, check that's still working, so we can drag and drag around, zoom out, zoom in. Let's go back to home and then go back to map again. And that was where we were getting the problem before. But now, because we've added this if statement, it's not trying to initialize again. So that error has now disappeared. And we've got a pretty stable app now with a map embedded.